There are a few different versions of the heart lanyard, and I'll have videos for those versions as well, but I'll just be showing you this one in this video. So as you can see, it requires 4 strands. These all need to be the same length. They need to be 3 feet long at least, or if you want them to be longer with a bigger heart as the result, you can make them whatever length you want. And I have them all as 4 different colors, but you can make these all the same color, or 2 of one color and 2 of another color, whatever you want. I'm just using 4 different colors so you can see what I'm doing, because there are a little bit of twists and turns that we take with a lanyard like this. Start with 2 of your strands, doesn't matter which ones, you can pick whatever 2 colors you want, and you're going to make a square stitch with them. And I'm not even going to do this on my fingers because I've already done this a billion times, and it's honestly faster to do it this way, I found. Just like that. You can pull the ends together. So you have something like this. And now you're going to do 2 more square stitches right on top of that. And they're not going to take long, so I'll just show you them, because why not? Making sure none of these loops are twisting. And 1 more. Right, so you should have 3 stitches in total when you include that starting stitch. We're going to do another stitch, but don't tighten it up, because we're actually going to add another strand in the middle. Just like that. And you can pull it together a little bit just so you can see the clear shape of what this is supposed to be. But now we're going to add this new strand. I think I'm going to go with this soft yellow. And you're going to stick it right in between this strand and this loop, just like this. And you're going to run it through until you get to the center. So you can just wrap the ends together and do that. And make sure it's not twisting, okay? Now, we're going to kind of weave this into this stitch here. And you can see we have a strand down here and a strand up here. So that means the loop is up here and the loop is down here. And you don't want 2 strands or 2 loops right next to each other, right? So you're going to take this bottom strand, and seeing as we have a strand down here, we're going to create a loop down here, which means we're going to bring this over and under right next to that. And hold it tight so it doesn't get loose or anything. You don't want it to slip out and become uneven. And since we can't have 2 strands here, we have a loop down here, we're going to create a loop up here with this strand by bringing it down this way. And try not to get this stuck in here. So hold it, move this to the side if you need to, bring it over and under. Just like that. And you're going to pull that together once you have it. It's going to curl in a little bit weird because you have a very thin foundation for it to stand on. there you go. Now you have a brick stitch. And we're going to do one more brick stitch on top of that. Not going to be adding anything in for this one. This is just to straighten out that stitch again, so it's not as wonky. It's like you always hear me say when we do starting stitches. Whenever you do the stitch right on top of it, it straightens out much more. Just like that. You can see it has a lot more rectangular shape to it. So you should have this. You can see that kind of triangle shape we're making here. That's going to be the bottom point of the heart. Now we're going to be adding in some more strings. Well, just one more actually. So once again, make a stitch, but this time you're not going to tighten it up. So this is the shape you're going to have. And you can pull it together a little bit to keep that shape so it doesn't unravel too much, but you're going to spread this part open. We're going to be working in between there. You're going to take your final strand. Mine is this pastel pink. You're going to run it through until you get to the center. I've got the two ends here. I can just hold them together and pull, but not too tight because you don't want to mess this up. Alright, so making sure it's facing flat. You have some strands and some loops here again. So we have a loop here, so that means that a strand is going to come out here. So you're going to take this top strand, and bring that down. Now you have that, and you have two strands here that are right next to each other, and you can't have that. So we're going to take that bottom strand, and we're going to bring that over and under, upwards like this. Just like that. And we're going to pull that together. And it's going to curl out and it's going to look weird, but that's what you should have. Kind of looks like a swirl stitch, doesn't it? A swirl starting stitch. You can see I've got this Neapolitan pattern here, and I chose the soft yellows because you know how vanilla ice cream sometimes it looks kind of yellow? That's what I was going for. And this can be whipped cream or marshmallows, wherever you want. So yeah, that's the shape you should have. And now we're going to split this into two different square stitches. So I'll start here at the top. You're going to take this top strand and bring it down. You're going to take that strand on the right of it. You're going to bring that over to the left. And you can see that you have this strand out going to the left. That's in the middle. You're going to bring that up. And it's going to stay on the left. And this last strand here that's just sticking out on the left, you're going to bring that over and under to the right. You're going to pull that tight. And you're going to do the exact same thing on this side. So you can pull these over and out of the way. You take the top strand, bring it down, take your strand sticking out on the right, bring it over to the left, take your strand in the middle of the super brick, and you're going to bring that upwards so it stays on the left. You're going to take your strand hanging out on the left and bring it over and under to the right. And you're going to pull that tight. So now this has been broken off into 2 different square stitches, so it's going to start growing like this. So what you're going to do is you're just going to keep doing square stitches on these individual parts here, and when we're ready to come back and finish it off, we're going to bring it together again. And I like to do 55 stitches with this, but you can do like as many as you want, honestly, as long as you have enough room with your strings for it. So yeah, see you when I get there. Alrighty, so I did the 55 stitches on each side, not including that first stitch we did to separate them into 2 like this. And you have 2 options on how you want to finish this. So you could use this bottom part here as the bottom point of the heart and bring these in like that to make the heart, or you can take them and you can pull them down like this, and this is the bottom to finish the heart. And I'm going to show you both ways, and I'll start with this way first. So you see that my brown and my yellow are facing the front, and they're also facing the back as well. So we're going to make sure that's happening while we're making this heart and shaping it. So the pink and the white are on the outside. And you can turn this upside down to do it as well. You can hold 1, and you can hold 2. And you can let this just kind of flip, because we can flip it back once we're done with this stitch, with these stitches that we're doing. So what we've got going on is we have a yellow down here, a yellow up here, a brown up here, and a brown down here. And that's what you want to have with whatever 4 colors you're using. If you're new to this lanyard, you should probably start with 4. So I'm going to take the whites and move them out of the way, because we're going to be using those very soon. So we have the 2 pinks on the outside, 1 here and 1 here. And you're going to put this back together like a normal wall stitch. And this is the first strand. Bring it over and under. First strand, over and under. I have this white here, and making sure that's not twisted, you're going to bring that over and under, and you're going to keep it to the left of this white, because we're going to be working with that right now. I'm going to bring that white, I'm going to bring that over and under. Making sure that this one wasn't twisted. Now we have this brown. I'm going to bring it over and under, and this is an open end, so hold this pink strand tight, whatever color you're using for that. And now I have my yellow, and I'm going to bring that over and under to finish the stitch. And grab the strands and pull them together. They may look wacky, but you got to trust the process. And this stitch looks a little wacky, kind of looks like the swirl starting stitch, and you're going to do a stitch right on top of that, just so it's not as wacky. So this is what you should have. It should look a little better than mine because, once again, I'm not doing this super tight because I'm about to take this apart and show you the other way that I like to do it. And you're going to do a stitch right on top of that. But you're going to leave out these whites or whatever color you're using. And that's twisted, but it doesn't matter because, once again, I'm taking this out very soon. And you're going to do a stitch on top of that. And you're going to do one more stitch. But you're going to leave out those browns. So just act like they're not even there. This is going to be stretched out at first. That's why you can literally do a stitch right on top of it. And on top of this stitch, you can make a finishing stitch. And after you make that finishing stitch, you can cut the ends loose and you can cut these extra strands off. And if you're like me and you'd rather super glue them so you know they won't slip out of place or anything, you can do that as well. But yeah, now on to the second version of how to finish this, which I personally prefer. The second way is my personal favorite, as I said before. You're gonna take your two pieces and you're going to curl them inwards to see how they would look when they're a heart. And keep in mind, whatever color that you're using that's showing on the front and back, you want that to show on the front and back when putting these together as well. And for me, as you can see, that's the yellow and the brown. And you can turn this upside down to see it. Once you have that, you can hold them in place like that. And you can let the lanyard kind of curl out like that. But once again, we're going to do the same exact thing that we did in the first method. You're going to put it back together as if it were a wall stitch. Once again, it's going to look wacky, but when you pull it together, it all makes sense. Just making sure these whites aren't twisted this time, because this time it actually matters. Now I'm going to go hard with the stitches. I'm going to do one on top just to give it a better shape. Now we're going to do another stitch, but we're going to leave out the whites. Get out. This is going to look weird, so you're going to do a stitch on top of that to even everything out. Now you're going to do another stitch, and you're going to leave out those browns. And your other strands might come to try to flop over, but you can hold them down. And you're going to do a stitch right on top of that. So the inside of the heart has that kind of point to it. Had to go back and tighten it really good because it was getting loose when I was doing that next stitch. So I have to be careful not to move these around too much. I'm going to do one more stitch on top of that. Just like that. Now, as you can see, I have a paper towel on my surface, and that is because I'm going to be using super glue to finish this off. There are some people who just cut the strands off on their own for some reason, and they're just cool with that. And I guess it stays, but I personally want it to really, really stay. I want to make sure. So I'm going to put some super glue on the top and on the sides. First, I gotta cut these sides off. You can do a finishing stitch here if you want, but I like to just use glue for these. I don't want tassels on these. And I have the soldering kit clippers again. And this one's sticking out a little bit too much for my liking, so I'm gonna cut at it a little bit more. Right. I'm gonna glue the sides and the top. And find something that you can stick this up against if you're gonna glue it like me. I'm actually gonna turn this inward so I don't have to worry about like flipping it back. And it may fight with you a little bit, but just with the heat of your hands, kind of manipulate it into the shape that it needs to be. And I'm already almost there. There we go. So I'm gonna start at the bottom here. And I'm gonna let that dry for the required 15 minutes. Alright, so the glue has finished drying. This is what it looks like. When the glue kind of has like a patchy, like rough look to it, that's when you know it's about dry. So I'm gonna use the soldering cutters again. Toss those out, obviously. And you can put like a key ring on one of these loops here at the top, or like a zipper, one of those little zipper hooks that you get with lanyard kits every time. And yeah, there you go. That's the heart lanyard version 1. I hope you enjoyed. That's it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one.